Hello, my name is Dylan,
And I'm Kiyan.
and this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we try not go insane from watching Doctor Who every week.
Yep. That.
No, but really, so what it actually is we've started watching Doctor Who from the beginning,
The original 1963 series.
the first Doctor, and now we are going to record a podcast every week talking about, well, the episodes we watched.
Yeah, and we'll be watching each sort of storyline and making a podcast, or
About that storyline.
words,
Yeah.
stuff.
So this week we watched An Unearthly Child.
The first thing ever. The first
Yeah.
one. The very first.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, to say the
was-
least.
It was. Okay, so we watched the first 4 episodes, the first serial, An Unearthly Child, and we also watched the pilot episode before that, which was, the first.
Which is less of a pilot, more of just a different version of the first episode.
Yeah. So, let's jump right in. Let's talk about the pilot.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Okay, so...
Fun fact, it was recorded 3 months before the rest of the season.
It was?
Yeah, the original pilot was recorded 3 months before the original season. That's why they had the time to change it into that way better first episode.
Yeah, but the pilot was unaired.
Exactly.
So...
Because it was terrible.
Okay, there's only one main difference, which we'll get to, between the pilot and the first episode. So yeah, the pilot, want to just kind of explain what happens?
Yeah. What did happen in...
What even happened in the pilot?
Right, oh, that was the one where they followed her to the... So we should introduce the characters first, because that'll make it way easier to explain.
Okay, so there's the two teachers, Ian Chesterton and Chesterton, I don't know.
Chesterton?
Ian and Barbara Wright. And they're
Yeah.
these two teachers, and they have this weird-ass student, Susan Foreman. Okay, she's weird. You have to admit.
Okay, she's kind of weird.
In the pilot, she's really weird. I
think she's weird because she's the doctor's granddaughter. I think
Well,
that's
we'll-
what explains it.
We'll get to that. Yes, she's an alien.
We don't know that. It never says that.
Okay, anyway. So yeah.
And then there's the doctor, obviously.
Yeah. So the two teachers, Ian and Barbara, they're like, whoa, Susan's really weird, and she's really smart, but she's also doesn't know some stuff, and she's kind of weird, and...
Yeah, she knows some things and doesn't know other things.
And then they decide to, like, stalk her.
Follow her home?
Because she's so... No, the real reason they did that is because...
She said she lived at an address, and then one of the teachers looked it up, and it turns out to be a junkyard, and they didn't understand, so they followed her there to find out what really was going on.
Which is why did... Anyway.
It's still kind of weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't justify it at all. So
they get there, and they're, like, exploring and stuff, and they're in this junkyard, and this weird-ass old man shows up.
And this is the first instance where the pilot and the first episode are really different. Right?
Yeah, because in the pilot, the doctor is
Just a straight...
Yeah, he's just a d-bag.
Yeah, he's just a jerk to the teachers.
Yeah, and anyway, long story short,
They get trapped in the TARDIS.
Yeah, the TARDIS.
Teachers. The teachers get trapped in the TARDIS.
And the doctor's like, I'm not gonna let you guys out.
I can't. You're just gonna tell everybody about me.
Yeah. So then, they time travel.
Yeah, which is how that happens is never explained. It's kind of implied to be the doctor attempts to open the doors, or like he's trying to do something and the teachers bump into him and then they accidentally time travel. And then there's this weird ass trippy sequence.
Yeah, that sequence, that like minute long
time travel sequence.
Yeah. No, but I thought Ian was messing around with the controls, or was that in episode 1? Or am I just crazy?
No, I think in episode 1 they changed it to make it less ambiguous. Because I remember in the pilot, our reaction was just, wait, what's happening? Because the doctor like goes to the control panel and then Barbara's like, no, don't! And then Ian, like, jumps on the doctor, and then all of a sudden, and then they're time traveling. But I think in episode 1, Ian was messing around with the controls, and they ended up time traveling.
So, yeah, getting on to episode 1, it's pretty much the same exact thing, with even the same exact dialogue, up until they get to the junkyard.
Where the doctor's less of a jerk.
Yeah, the doctor's more likable in the series, which is good.
It makes the series more believable, first of all.
And it's kind of a letdown if your main character's just a dick. Sometimes it's... Anyway.
And then...
But yeah, same thing happens. They get trapped in the TARDIS, and the doctor, I think he's still kind of reluctant to let them leave.
Yeah, but in this one he explains it kind of better. Well, in my opinion, he explains it better because he's like, yo, you just don't understand, and you wouldn't, and if I let you go, you still wouldn't understand.
They still time travel, and there's still that weird sequence, and they end up in the
past,
in the Stone Age.
Well, I guess that's explained. Well, the working title of An Unearthly Child was 50,000 BC, so I guess it's implied they traveled to 50,000 BC. I don't know, but
okay. I mean, they end up in this strange
land
location, like desert-ish / forests. I don't know. We'll get into that, but yeah, they wind up in the past,
and that's the end of episode 1.
Yes, it is.
That brings us to episode 2.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
It starts off. It doesn't even start off with the characters from the previous episode. It doesn't start off with Susan, Ian, the Doctor, Barbara. It starts off with these weird cavemen guys.
Zar and...
No, it's Za.
Zar.
It's just
they,
Za.
They pronounced it like Zar.
Yeah, they did.
In the episodes.
They did.
And
so,
Cal?
Cal, it was... So basically it's this tribe of cavemen who, they're trying to make fire. And there's these two guys who sort of want to be the leader of the tribe. There's Za and there's Cal.
Right.
And Cal's reasoning for wanting to be leader of the tribe is because his dad knew how to make fire. And Cal's dad was kind of a dick.
Because he showed nobody how to make fire.
Yeah, so they're just like, how do we make fire? Oh, I don't know. Cal's dad knew how, but he never frickin' told anyone, so...
And then there's this old woman who makes weird allusions to Cal's dad.
Yeah. I mean...
And fire.
And then Za is like... Why did he even want to be the leader? Was he
just
like, I'm leader
just
now?
The guy who was there who wanted to be leader.
And then there's the old woman who just... No one knows her name, I guess, because they only refer to her as the old woman.
Yeah. And then we cut back to the Doctor and Susan and the teachers, who are now leaving the TARDIS. I think the best part of this episode was when the Doctor takes his Geiger counter out of the TARDIS. He has this time-traveling machine, but the most advanced technology he has for detecting radiation is a Geiger counter.
So they leave the TARDIS, and then the cavemen are like, yo, because they see the Doctor like smoking his pipe or whatever. So they're like, yo, you know how to make fire. So they kidnap everyone.
Well, less like that and more like, he knows fire. Take him.
He know how make fire. Anyway. So they get trapped in...
They all get trapped, and they get put in the Cave of Skulls, which is like their dungeon, I guess.
It's the title of the episode, the Cave of Skulls.
Yeah.
Really easy to break out of.
Yeah. I think both of us mentioned this when we were watching the episode. The entirety of the second episode could have been condensed into like one scene in the third episode.
Yeah, it could have.
Most of the second episode was just exposition setting up the third episode.
Basically. So our heroes, our intrepid gang of
heroes. Of heroes.
Skype call. Fantastic.
Which doesn't exist.
Yep, nope, Skype, nope. What is...
Anyway.
No,
okay, the third episode. The Forest of Fear. The third episode is called Forest of Fear.
And so they're in this cave called the Cave of Skulls because there's skulls of the people who died in the cave and stuff, and it's really weird.
Okay, so the second episode ends with the amazing line of dialogue, look, they're all the same. They're all bashed in. And then a terrible shot of a skull with a bashed in top.
Now might be a good time to mention the terrible quality we were watching these episodes in.
Yeah, the resolution is something like 300 by 500.
And the sound quality wasn't much better either.
Yeah. So basically we're explaining what we got out of terrible sound and video quality. Keep in mind it's also in black and white, since it was 63. So, third episode, Forest of Fear.
They break out of the cave.
What? The old woman sets up this entire government coup in the tribe.
Yeah, the old woman doesn't want fire to be made.
So she breaks our intrepid adventurers, if that's what we're calling them now.
No, it's not.
No, she breaks them out of the cave by using the secret second exit that apparently no one knew about except the old woman.
It was blocked by a rock. They didn't see it, and
so they escape.
Dumb.
And then Za's wife.
Yeah, it never explained if. Okay, so there's this woman named Her.
I think it's Her.
H-U-R.
Yeah.
And it never really explained who she was, but she was on Za's side. She wanted Za to become...
I think she was the woman that, what's his name? The really old guy who kept wanting to overthrow Za.
Oh, that must have been Horg.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, we didn't know who Horg was.
Yeah, because in the credits...
Guess we just figured that out.
In the credits, it was like Horg, and we're like, who's Horg? And
guess it was Her's dad. Surprise!
Anyway, it's kind of weird though. The woman is named Her.
Yeah,
like Her.
I guess maybe they just didn't have anything better. So anyway, the old woman breaks him out. Her finds the old woman in the cave, and then Za comes with her, and then this whole next scene is fuzzy.
It's this weird ass chase scene, and the doctor and the teachers and Susan are just trying to run away, and then
Za and her are following them.
And then Za gets hurt, I guess, by
some animal.
Yeah. So then
we couldn't really see.
So then the doctor and Co go back to help him, and Her's like, "Whoa, why are you helping us?" Because they don't know what kindness is. They're too primitive.
The doctor during this entire scene is like, "No, they don't understand logic. They're not logical. They don't understand kindness." Which, to be honest, is true.
Yeah, because all the cave people were just like up for killing people like throughout this entire serial.
We'll get to that in the fourth episode, but they just okay. Yeah, you'll see.
So they help Za.
So they help out Za, yeah. And the doctor during this whole time is like, no, we should be going. We should get back to the TARDIS and leave.
Okay, why do they go back to the cave? They go back to the cave, but why do they go back to the cave?
No, so they're helping Za, right? Yeah. And then I think what was happening was they were going to still go to the TARDIS and show Za how to make fire because the doctor had matches at the TARDIS.
Uh-huh.
But when they came out of the forest, they saw the entire tribe there. And then that was how that episode ended. Was when they made this makeshift stretcher and carried Za. And the doctor was against it.
Yeah, because basically Cal sent this whole search party out. After he saw that the old woman had let them leave and that Zod followed them, he killed the old woman.
Yeah.
Right? So...
Well, this is the part where the old woman instigates this coup by saying that Za was the one to let them out. When the audience is yelling at Cal, "No! It was the old woman, you fool!" So that just makes the Cal Za... what you call it? Feud, there we go. Much more intense. And then that episode ends when the whole tribe finds them. Bringing us to episode 4.
They get locked back in the Cave of Skulls.
Surprise.
Again.
No, you skip the entire scene where the dog is like, "We'll show you how to make fire if you let us go." And then Cal's like, "No, lock them up." And then the doctor just turns the entire tribe against Cal by showing them that Cal's knife has blood on, but not Za's. And then the entire tribe just stones Cal out of the tribe, and he runs away. And then they get locked in the Cave of Skulls again.
And then they show Za how to make fire because
conveniently there's fire-making tools in the cave, sticks and leaves.
Because they were about to get human sacrificed if they
I thought they were just gonna kill them.
No, because
not even sacrifice.
No, because remember they're like blood has to run down the stone, and then because they were gonna sacrifice them to the sun.
Yeah, they called the sun Orb.
Yeah,
it took us 2 episodes to figure out Orb was the sun.
Yeah, we're smart. Anyway,
we're smart, I swear. So that happens.
So they make this sketch fire by like rubbing some sticks together
in this amazing display of special effects. And then Zar completely breaks his word, doesn't let them go for making fire, and just keeps them in the cave.
He gets them some meat, though, so he's a pretty nice guy.
Is he, though?
Not
he's
really.
They saved his life from that animal, and he's just gonna keep them there.
Basically.
And then they fake their deaths. They take some skulls.
Yeah, they fake their deaths.
Put them on fire. They put some skulls on some fire, and then run away. Out the second entrance of the cave that was supposed to be guarded.
And then Cal shows... No, Cal...
Yeah, right before that, Cal and Zar have this showdown.
And then Zar kills Cal.
Yeah.
Well, there was this whole fight scene. It was...
2 minutes long.
Yeah, it was alright.
Except we couldn't tell who was who.
Yeah, because Zar and Cal look really similar.
So we were just watching, waiting for the victor, and then it was Zar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he took some fire, and he's like, I am God of Fire.
I don't think he said that exactly. He just said, I have fire.
Yep, and then they started worshipping Zar as their god.
And then they escaped.
And then they sacrificed the Doctor and Susan and everyone. And
they escaped.
The end of Doctor Who.
The end of Doctor Who after the first story. It was just so bad they ended it. No, they escape. And then they're running, and then somehow Zar realizes they didn't actually die, and then sends a search party after them again.
But too late, they got in the TARDIS and they time traveled.
And then the entire tribe looks confused, like, where the hell did the TARDIS go?
There was this weird science mumbo-jumbo explanation of why they couldn't...
Because Ian wanted to go back to 63, right? Because obviously he wants to go home. And the Doctor spouts out this whole long monologue about... Oh, the TARDIS isn't working, the chameleon doesn't look like a rock, it didn't change from police box, and the entire thing's not working, and I can't control it to take you back to 63, and we need to go somewhere to control the time circuits or something.
Useless Doctor. He doesn't even know how to fix his own, anyway.
That's exactly what Ian said. He's like, wait, you're telling me you don't know how to fly this thing?
Yeah. So they go to this, it doesn't even tell you where they go.
It doesn't say where they end up, but this dramatic scene where Susan is like, radiation levels normal, and then it zooms in on the radiation meter, and it just goes whoop,
to
danger.
Goes all the way up
to danger.
As they're leaving the TARDIS, and that's the end of this cereal.
This cereal, yeah. I like cereal. Cereal's tasty.
Brief summary of the entire storyline.
It took us 17 minutes. Right, so,
I guess we're talking about the story and characters next. We kind of already did.
Yeah, we kind of discussed the stories and the characters, giving that brief summary.
Yeah, Susan was...
Susan is weird, to say the least.
But not compared to the
in the pilot, she was really weird.
Yeah, that whole scene where she was splashing ink blots on paper for no...
Thank God they took that out.
But yeah, the two main character changes between the pilot and episode 1 are the Doctor and Susan.
Yeah.
More so the Doctor. Susan is just less weird in the actual episode. And Barbara and Ian are basically the same.
I'm just going to say I think Susan's my least favorite character right now. Even less...
Barbara has done nothing, though.
Yeah,
Barbara's done less than Susan.
Yeah, but at least Barbara goes along with it, unlike... Susan, who's like, Grandpa, why are you doing this? Yo, man, what you doing,
Yeah,
fool?
Susan freaks out.
All the time. Everything the Doctor does, Susan is like, why are you doing this, Grandpa?
But yeah, so far, the Doctor and Ian have, like, actually done stuff and been useful. And
even though they're kind of argumentative with each other.
Male supremacy. White male supremacy.
It was 63.
No, I don't think that was what they were going for at all. Unless it was. It could have been.
We'll never know. Fun fact, all of the Doctors are white. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy.
Anyway.
Yeah. I'd like to see Ian become less what the hell's going on and more.
That's his character. I actually like Ian's character. Like, he's...
Like, just being all against the Doctor all the time?
Yeah, it creates a rival, that sort of rivalry, if that's even a word, between the Doctor and Ian. Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, let's do this. And the Doctor's like, yeah, let's do it. We're friends. And yay.
I guess. I mean,
it makes it better if there's internal conflict between... Because there was...
we've kind of got internal conflict between Susan and the Doctor already. So adding Ian kind of colludes the entire situation. And Barbara just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, Barbara just doesn't give a shit. Barbara's just like, we time traveled? Whatever. No, she's not.
She's less like that, more like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, she's definitely more cooperative with the Doctor, which I guess in the long run is better because, I mean, that's the thing, because it was sort of Za versus Cal to establish the leader of their tribe. And then,
which could be seen as a metaphor between the Doctor and Ian trying to become the leader of that little group.
And then in episode 4, when one of the cave people asks, I think it was Za, asks who the leader of, because they think the Doctor and his friends are another tribe.
They think Ian is the leader because, well, there is a weird dialectical discord because sometimes the tribe understands the group and sometimes they don't.
Yep.
That's never explained. But apparently the only thing Her got out of Ian when he was saving Za was that his name was Friend. So Za thinks Ian is the leader of the tribe, but when he asks, Ian says no, the Doctor's the leader.
Yeah, it sort of establishes the Doctor in kind of the same way
that Za ends up taking the lead of his tribe.
Except without Ian dying.
That's a good point.
Ian didn't get bashed in the head with a giant-ass stone. But yeah. So, yeah, all the cave people were kind of just dicks. I guess it was their...
I guess just the way that the tribe worked and that they didn't really understand everything that the Doctor and his group did.
But they were always threatening to kill each other. Like, I mean, just...
Maybe that's what their society is based on. Just killing each other.
How do they even have a society then? I mean, it's just killing people all the time.
Kill the people who don't comply. Worked for Stalin.
I guess. I mean, that's worked for thousands of years, and they're in the past and stuff. So...
Yeah, so that happened.
So,
what's next on our list of things we should talk about?
We have a list.
Yes, it's a good plan to make a list. Pro tip, if you're listening to this podcast, make lists. Okay.
Make a list of what we're saying so you don't get completely lost. No.
Which I probably will get lost. Right.
So visuals and sound. Low budget, I mean, it was from the 60s, but still low budget, would you say?
Yeah, definitely low budget. They were, low budget. It was 63. They had color film at that point, but it was black and white. Obviously, as a cost-saving measure.
Yeah, I don't think color film was that widely circulated, though.
They had films from 55 that were in color. That's 8 years.
I think they were mostly for, like, cinema, or, like, not TV shows, movies. Or, I don't even know.
Well, I guess we'll look that up between now and the next episode of this podcast.
Will we?
I will.
Okay. Can have an ultimate showdown
next week
to determine whether
the
film was
right.
stuff. So
sound
no, we need to talk about that weird ass time travel scene.
Oh, that
which we kind of already talked about, but it was just why.
It was like the title sequence, but with their faces imposed over it every so often. You see the title sequence, which, to be honest, looks like lava flow in black and white.
Yeah, it's like a lava lamp zoomed in.
And, so you know these special effects are bad when you can tell what they are. But, and then every so often, like, one of their faces zoomed in. Like, first it was Barbara, and then you had Ian.
And they looked kind of confused, like, what's going on?
Who would it be?
We were confused. We were like, what's going on?
Even the second time we watched it, we were still confused.
Yeah, because it's in the pilot and episode 1. So yeah, that.
And then there was the chase scene, which looked like it was filmed in a studio, and they were smacking branches against their faces.
Yeah. when the Doctor and
in the 4th episode.
Yeah, when they were running through the forest. Okay, honestly, like, why was there? The TARDIS landed in the desert when they time traveled, right?
Right.
Why was there like a desert right next to a forest? Like, just
I don't know.
What?
Yeah,
but that desert just looked not convincing. It looked like a studio.
With
that black background.
It might have been, yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was a studio.
Probably, yeah. Cost saving.
Like the cave and desert.
If they filmed it on location in 63, can you imagine moving that entire TARDIS prop all over the place?
Yeah.
That would be a pain. So I guess you have to give them credit at least for trying. A+ for effort, guys. A+.
I don't know if I'd say A+.
Okay,
I mean,
B+.
All right, B+. Concurrent.
B+.
Yeah. So sound.
Well,
the title sequence is pretty good.
Yeah, I actually like the theme.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, they didn't really have techno music back then. Doctor Who's considered one of the first techno themes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So gotta give them credit. I mean, if you read up on the process they went through, whoa.
Yeah, go ahead and explain that.
Oh, so I'll explain the process. Basically,
it's pretty
how I
sketch, actually.
Yeah. So Robin Gardner composed the theme, and then he sent it off to BBC, and someone at the Radiophonics workshop, I think her name was also Barbara, coincidentally. It definitely started with a B. Would take single string plucking and then record them onto tapes and distort the tapes. Audio tapes. And distort the tapes. Drink here. Distort the tapes to make it sound techno-ish. And then what they would do is they would have certain tracks for the theme, each of them being a certain level of the theme. And then when they wanted to put them all together, since they didn't have mixtape machines, they had to put each tape in a separate machine and play them all at the same time and record it. And if there was any mistake and it got off at any point, they would have to stop all of the tapes and edit the tape ever so slightly, like cut out a tiny piece of the tape.
Fractions of seconds, I guess.
So that they would get it perfect. And it sounds really good for having to do that.
But, okay, so I think the title theme was composed by a different composer than was the background music throughout the episodes.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think Robin Gardner just composed the title theme, and then all the background music was just random people.
Because the background music was just ambient, I guess, which works, but because I didn't really notice it, I didn't really pay attention to it throughout the episodes, except the Cal versus Zaw scene where it had like these bongo drum things going, and I was just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, sure.
And did you notice that during that scene?
Actually, no, I didn't. I was focusing more on which one is Zaw and which one is Cal.
Yeah, I gave up trying to differentiate between the two because they look so similar, so I was just like, oh, cool music.
Right.
But yeah, I think that was actually a kind of a fault of the episode was Cal and Zaw looked really similar.
Yeah, I think if there was one complaint I would have to make is that they could have spiced up the costumes a little bit to make them look different.
Because they were going for that whole caveman thing, so there's not much. Well, I don't know. I guess they could have differentiated words.
I like how they thought the Doctor was wearing furs. He wears different furs than us.
Yeah. What other cool effects were there?
Well, there was that fire scene where it was just like he was rubbing the sticks together and all of a sudden, fire!
Yeah, and the fire came from under this. He was rubbing these two sticks together to make fire, right? Which
works if you do it correctly.
If you do it, at the speed of light, whoosh. But no, as that was happening, they were gathering some, leaves and stuff underneath where Ian was rubbing the two sticks together, and, the bottom...
Yeah, the bottom of the leaves caught fire, but that he was rubbing the sticks together at the top.
What if they just had, a lighter underneath there, and they're like, this is how you make fire, and then when they leave, Zaw's just, rubbing the sticks together, and he's like, fuck, it's not working, fuck. But yeah, actually,
that would suck, actually.
Yeah, they kind of just abandoned the whole caveman tribe, so, and they're just off to fend for themselves.
Yeah. Thinking back, the Doctor kind of still was a joke. I'm hoping he gets even less jokey.
Yeah, maybe that might be part of his, character development throughout the entire season is that he sort of makes amends with Ian.
I really hope it is.
Yeah. And what possible character development could Susan and Barbara have?
Yeah. Barbara, first of all, doesn't do anything now.
Susan, I could see her as, maybe sort of being a voice of reason to the Doctor, because the Doctor does get pretty eccentric, and Susan does have sort of more down-to-earth ideas. So
down-to-earth, because she likes living on Earth.
Anyway. But yeah, I that could definitely be something that happens, is that the Doctor is sort of influenced by
Yeah, the Doctor
Susan.
influences Ian and Susan, and Ian and Susan influenced the Doctor.
Barbara's just along for the ride.
I guess.
Did they even need to have, because I'm thinking maybe Barbara could, if she doesn't do anything for the rest of the season,
right.
do you think they could have just cut her out entirely? Like, maybe just had her in the first episode for someone for Ian to talk to without Susan.
Or like a catalyst to send Ian to the junkyard.
Yeah, because Ian could have just went to the junkyard himself. Because, I mean, so far in the first 4 episodes, 5, including the pilot, Barbara's done nothing except sort of...
Well, I'm just coming up with this now. Maybe the relationship between Barbara and Ian is supposed to be similar to the Doctor and Susan. How Barbara is the more accepting, hey, maybe this is possible, where Ian is the more hard-headed, this science totally isn't possible, we haven't landed on the moon yet. Time travel shouldn't be possible. Similar to how Susan is like, yo, Doctor, you're insane. Yeah. Bring it back to Earth.
They could have...
I mean, they could have made it more prominent. They could have utilized Barbara more, I think.
Yeah. They could have... Because if you're going to have 2, quote-unquote, voice of reason characters, they could have just had that be one character, unless they're going for some sort of relationship, character development between Barbara and Ian later on.
Right. I mean, we'll have to see how that's going to play out in the next couple serials.
Yeah, and if they don't go for that, then
if
why
at
was
the end of the first Doctor, and we're still sitting here talking about how Barbara was useless, that'll
terrible.
Be sad.
Yeah. So, what did we even like?
What did we like?
What did we hate? What did we like?
Well, I definitely like the Doctor's striped pants. Even in black and white, even in black and white, you can tell those are striped. Thank God he took off that hat, though. You remember that hat?
Oh, yeah.
That weird little...
It was like some sort of... it was like a fez, but not. It had like this weird thing in the middle.
This indent in the middle. Like 2 humps on the side. It was weird. He took it off in the first episode. I like that he took that off.
He's going to have Celery later on. He's going to have Celery. So...
Fifth Doctor. Fifth Doctor.
We know the future. Because it's 1963, right? We're watching these as they air for the first time. So I don't know how we could possibly know that the Fifth Doctor has Celery.
We were recording this in 1963 with surprisingly good audio quality.
No, but what didn't we like?
What I didn't like, going back to how Ian is still hard-headed, I didn't like that whole... Ian was trying to... I think the scene was more I didn't like the Doctor, and that Ian was like, we should go back and help that guy, and the Doctor was like, no, we have to go to the TARDIS. And I guess since I've watched some of the 10th Doctor's episodes, in the 10th Doctor, the Doctor's totally like, we should save everybody, nobody should die. So I think I think I'm used to that more than a Doctor who's like, we should just let him die and save ourselves. So I think in that scene, I liked how Ian and the Doctor played out together. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Well, I don't know. One thing I didn't like, another thing, was that I felt like it could have the 4 episodes could maybe have been condensed into 3. Like,
yeah, I mean the second episode, first of all, was basically all exposition.
Yeah, like the second and third could possibly have been condensed into 1.
Yeah.
If they if they were to rewrite the dialogue to make it sort of more, not more coherent, but just more concise, and also that might make it more followable if they did that.
Story was a little hard to follow.
Yeah, even though I
mean, they tried.
They tried. It was
B+ for effort.
It intrigued me. Like, this is my first time watching Doctor Who, and Dylan's watched.
Yeah, I've watched some of the 10th Doctor.
Yeah,
and I've watched 1 episode of the 11th.
But it intrigued me, and I'm interested in watching more. So there's that.
We may be sitting here at the 6th Doctor going, "Kill me now." Yeah. Why did we decide to do
this? Why?
But that's probably another year down the line, based on the rate we're going. So.
Oh God, 700 more episodes.
No.
Yay.
Yay. Plus, by the time we get there, they'll have released another season at least.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
I mean, how frequent is it? Is it
about
a season a year?
Yeah.
So like 20-something episodes a year?
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Ish, I think.
We're going to
15. We'll be here. We'll be around. This podcast will exist for a while.
Hopefully.
Unless one of us has a catastrophic accident. Okay, enough about that. Moving on.
No, we should talk about the catastrophic accident.
We're not supposed to tell the viewers that we're from the future and that
Right.
we know what happens to the 12th Doctor.
Okay.
Anyway.
What were some of your favorite scenes? What did you like?
Well, I already mentioned the scene between the Doctor and Ian.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this already. We talk about stuff. About Doctor Who.
Everything we had planned out originally got woven into that massive 17-minute thing about the episode.
Summary.
The summary was nearly as long as an episode because in '63 they aired them as half-hour episodes, so they're 24 minutes with 24 minutes without the ads, and our summary was 17 minutes.
Yeah. So when Za smashed Cal's head in, they kind of cut away.
Yeah, they
Which
cut
I actually liked because I'm not good with like violence and brutal beating and stuff like that. And I guess it was...
It saved on special effects, too.
Yeah, and because it was, like, the 60s and...
Okay, what I didn't like about the fight scene, though, was the random cutaways to the faces of the party and how they were just standing there with emotionless looks on their faces.
They were kind of just not helping Cal, even when they,
or
like...
Za. They would help Za.
Yeah, they helped Za earlier, and
then now they're just standing there.
watching Za kill Cal.
But,
Maybe because they didn't want to involve themselves in like the tribe's internal affairs, but
already Ian had told Za the tribe together is stronger than just the leader. And Za and Ian had already tried to get Za to show the entire tribe how to make fire. But now that Za and Cal are fighting, he doesn't try to end the violence. That's a little bit of a character inconsistency there.
Yeah, it is. That's true. How would they have ended it if they stopped them, though?
That's a good point. I guess ending it was a necessary...
Because they kind of just ran away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was just a necessary resolution to the episode. Was that one of them had to die.
Or their viewership was going down. They're like, shit, new setting, guys, new setting.
We should keep a running death count. So far, we have 1 death.
Should we keep a running death count? That's going to be freaking hard.
Well, we've got 1. We may as well, right?
Okay, 1.
May as well keep it interesting.
What about that animal that Za killed?
We'll just count humans. We'll just count.
Okay, all right.
Well, humans and or
aliens.
Aliens, yeah.
All right.
So 1. We have 1, and we won't count the Doctor because he
regenerates.
Yeah. So we won't count the Doctor.
All right. 1.
Death count is at 1. Okay. So yeah, I mean, those are my favorite scenes. Least favorite scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Basically.
Basically.
What else happened that I liked, though?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was kind of... There wasn't a lot happening in this one. I think the reason there wasn't a lot happening was because it was introducing viewers to the characters, since we're going to be with them for basically a couple seasons now.
Yep. How many seasons is the first Doctor? 3? They're
3 or 4, yeah.
They're all 3.
They're usually 3. I think the exceptions are the 6th Doctor was 2... The 8th Doctor was 1 TV movie, and the 9th Doctor was 1.
8th Doctor was 1 TV movie?
Okay, so
What?
So they did 1 through 7, and that ended in
The
history
80s.
lesson. That ended in the 80s, and then in '96 they tried to revive the series. So they made a kind of like a pilot movie. So it's a pilot for a series, but it could be aired standalone as a TV movie with the 8th Doctor, and it didn't do very well.
So they just canceled.
So when they rebooted it again in 2005, they just started with the 9th.
Makes sense.
And the 8th Doctor appeared again in a recent special with the 11th Doctor, which we will get to in 2 years.
Yeah. So yeah, is that
I think
basically sums up everything.
Yeah, I think that about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about.
So next we're watching...
This coming week we're watching The Daleks, the second serial.
Apparently super popular, and...
Yeah, the introduction of the super popular, most used Doctor Who villain.
I'm looking forward to that, if they're so popular and there's such a large fan following of them.
So that's going to be interesting, I think.
Should we create an outro, like on the spot right now? Because we didn't create one.
Yeah, we didn't really think of how to end this. We came up... Okay, if you look at our list, it starts very detailed at the beginning of what we're going to do.
And then at the end, it's just like, fuck it, we're gonna wing everything.
Yeah, we just gave up, and we're making it all up.
Yeah, the end.